All right, all right, all right. We are live. And let me just open it up with this comment from James, fashionably late. More time to have a drink and a smoke. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Love you, mean it, James.
Yeah, James is amazing. And quick shill for James. Scale is minting right now, so if you're in Baby Dragon X, then you might be interested in checking out Scale. But yeah, we're here to talk about Element 280, liquidity providing, and who else to talk about this besides the Titans of LP guys here. Yeah, so hopefully we can bring some more insights to the users on.
Of course, my daughter woke up. I'll be right back. Sorry about that.
All good.
One of the Titans of LP guys is here.
Yeah. We'll leave him backstage while he gets figured out. But yeah, let me pop this up real quick and just kind of show off. We've got 1 day, 18 hours left of minting Element 280. If you're not familiar, please read the white paper. If you have questions, join our Telegram. We've got all the answers. But today we're specifically going to look at the LP manager and like why you should be interested in it. I would start off with this note here. The LP manager's sole purpose is to allow users to enter and exit their LP position without getting taxed. So the Element 280 token has a tax on it, buy, sell, transfer. Anytime these tokens move, there's a tax, and that's what feeds the NFT holders. So there's always LP providers. They play a very important role in DeFi, and we didn't want to restrict them. And, we don't want an LP provider coming and going, well, I'd like to provide LPs, but now I'm getting taxed 4% in and 4% out. Maybe I'll take my money elsewhere. So that doesn't make sense. So this is the reason why we have this. This is a way for you to get in and out of your LP position without hitting that tax. And all of your LP rewards are coming from Uniswap fees, trading fees. There's no additional rewards that the Element 280 protocol is offering in that scenario. This is purely just to allow you to get in and out without being taxed, which is it's a very important thing, very important aspect.
Yes.
So yeah, with that in mind, I guess why would you want to provide LP to Elements and any one of our pairs? I guess I can kind of leave that to the Titans of LP. What brings you to LP providing in general?
Oh boy, that's a great question. A couple reasons. One, it could help save you from yourself. So instead of, looking at, okay, what's green today, what's red today, let me go chase this, let me go chase that. When you take a step back and you look at, what are those coins? What are the things that are going like this? Why not be the bank, right? House always wins, right? So at the end of the day, why wouldn't you want to be the house? That's first and foremost for me. I used to be big time into like sports gambling, like casinos, all that kind of stuff. This was back in the day, way before my crypto journey. But you never hear of you don't really hear a lot of people coming away from like a gambling addiction on the good end. You know what I mean? Everyone that has a gambling addiction, usually something's wrong. They mortgage their house, their wife left, whatever. This is, okay, this is our chance to be the house. You can be the house. And if you do it right, it's almost like you could be your own bank. It's almost like you're your own bank. You're in control 100%. And that's what I like. I like to be in control. If you just give me a bag of something and say, okay, here's $10,000 worth of fill in the blank. Good luck. Who knows? I'm chasing this one. I'm chasing that one. No, why not park it and take advantage of all the other people that are chasing and going, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this. And you're making fees the whole time. So you're parking your tokens to a common pool. And every time someone does any kind of transaction, as long as you're within range, which V2 you always are, you're going to get a piece of the pie. Now, one thing that I always like to say is that providing LP is not a get rich quick scheme. So the other end of that is I always try to explain to people LPing is relatively safe. If you take all the different things you can do in crypto, right? LPing is relatively safe. Especially if you're doing it on Uniswap or using something that utilizes Uniswap. Tried and true. It works. Cool. But I do not recommend going in with your whole bag. If you only have $10,000 in your whole portfolio total, I wouldn't be using $10,000 to LP with. I might be LPing with like $1,000, $1,200, $2,000 tops, because we're in the, we are coming upon the bull market. You're going to want to get at least some of that price appreciation. So the cool thing with liquidity providing, if you do it right and you don't put all your money in, you don't really find yourself saying, oh man, I missed out on fill in the blank, right? Because you have some liquid that you're getting your price appreciation with. So you get to play best of both worlds. You get your fees, which if you do this right and you compound your fees back in to your LP grows, your fees grow. The more money you have providing liquidity with, the more fees you're going to get. So instead of just taking those fees, dumping it for something and chasing, use that. It's almost like free money. You were going to hold the two coins liquid anyway. That's the other beautiful thing about LPing. If you're going to hold the coins liquid and you're just going to hold them and you don't plan on selling them, let them work for you, make you some money. And then with your fees, if you need to go buy and chase, you can use that. Or you could just dump it back into your LP and make it bigger, make it stronger, make more fees. And you're just sitting there doing what you were going to do anyway. So to me, liquidity providing, once people understand how to do it properly, which we teach, I have videos, plenty of videos on my YouTube. If you do it properly, there really is no, I missed this, or why did this happen, or blah, 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 blah. And then you can use it, like I said, as your own bank account. I use my liquidity, I use my positions almost as like a checking account. So instead of taking money and just buying something liquid and holding it, I put it into an LP. I put it into LP. Now, me, I'm a little bit different. I tell people, don't use a lot of your money to liquidity provide with. I'm kind of the opposite. I'm more conservative, less degen. So I do put a good amount into LP with, but that's just because I'm holding. I don't have to worry about, I don't get mad if I miss something, but that's just me. I don't, I like to tell people, go with like 10%, 5% of your bag. That way you won't get upset if something just moves on you.
I mean, that's like, on a general sense, that's, you can look at crypto the same as gambling, is the same as the casino, playing poker, stocks. You don't go all in any of those sectors. Like, that's kind of like rule number one, in my opinion, is you don't bet with the entire bag, because you can't make a win every time. And so if you stick to a small percentage of your entire portfolio, even if you make a bad bet in any sector, like, you still have more gunpowder, to come back in and continue playing the game. If you're just betting with your whole bag, one wrong move and your whole bag's gone, and then you're out of the game. So I feel like that's not just crypto. It's not just that goes across the board. I feel like in lots of sectors.
100%.
The other thing that I was, you were talking about, compounding your positions. V2, I think there's a lot of people don't understand how V2 works. A very common question I get is where do I see my rewards? Well, with V2, it auto compounds.
Yep.
Every trade, every time you get paid on, every time a trade happens, you earn some tokens. Those just automatically get thrown into your LP position. So to me, like the best way to track it is just have a spreadsheet where I come in once a week or however often you want to check it and go, okay, I got this many tokens of this and this many tokens of that. And then you can kind of see your USD value, the actual number of tokens, and you can kind of track it that way. And then if you're trying to take profits, then you can kind of see, okay, I increased my position by this many tokens. Let me just pull out, 10% of that or whatever, and play it that way. But there's no easy button like there is on V3 where you see exactly what you're earning and rewards. You have to track it yourself, essentially. Is there
it requires a little bit of math, very basic. If you could do addition and subtraction, you're good. Congratulations, you've made it. The one thing that I can say that is way better with V2 liquidity providing is what people fail to remember or realize or even think about, especially new people providing liquidity. And me and Nathan, this happened to us big time. If you remember February, March, what Gwei was to start a V3 liquidity position, Titan X and ETH cost $300 to start. If you wanted to claim your fees, it was $180 to claim your fees. Then you had to go back and make your swap correct. If you wanted to add that back in, you had to make sure you had the right ratio of coins, because you're going to get basically 50-50 in your fees. You'll get 50% of your fees will be in Titan X, 50% of your fees will be in will be in ETH, right? Well, when you go to add it back in, it's going to be a little bit of more of one than the other. So you got to make sure you figure that out. So that's another transaction. That was $50. Then you got to put it back into the pool, another $100. Yeah. So it's not like that now. Thank God it's not like that now. But back then, you almost had to have $1,000 to recompound with, or else it wasn't worth it, because you were taking a 40% cut. You're taking a 40% hit off the rip. So with this, it just does it for you. And all that stuff that I just talked about, that's an extra, you could think about it as like, that's an extra $400. So you might not make $360 a day. You might make $200 a day. However, once this bull market gets kicking and Gwei starts getting up, the people that are making $360 a day, after all said and done, really they're making like $150. You see? So trying to get people to think like that that's kind of what, we're trying to focus on is you got to think of the small details. You got to think of the small details, because it's very easy to go onto a liquidity providing calculator. We like to use metrics. There's a couple of different ones. And you just start doing some moon math, right? You're like, oh, cool. I can make $400 a day if I put this tiny degen range on. Awesome. But you don't think how much it's going to cost to transact, how much it's going to cost to trade, how much it's going to cost to, the calculator does not account for any of that. It doesn't account for how much is it going to cost to open up a position, to withdraw, to add back in. So especially if you're starting out in liquidity providing, something like this that we're looking at here is way easier to use. I mean, you're kind of ruining my job by coming out with this, because this is just so simple. You just come to the DApp and you're like, okay, I want to provide liquidity with, we like hyper, so hyper and element, right? You just click it and it just does it for you. You don't have to mess around. It's V2, so it's full range. That's the other cool thing about full range that people really need to understand, the difference between V2 and V3. V3, you're providing a very specific range. So that means if one token just has like a moonshot day and it starts trading outside of your little range, you're no longer making fees. you either have to wait for it to dip that back down, or you have to withdraw your liquidity and move it. And again, we just went through how much money that costs, right? Well, with a full range position, you don't have to do any of that. It's literally set it and forget it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and I mean, there are pros and cons to it. You know, being able to do concentrated liquidity is nice, but you know, it gets, you know, that's really for more advanced users. I feel like doing the concentrated liquidity, it's harder to keep track of. You know, and then there's lots more management, like you were saying.
A lot, yes.
Yeah,
active management.
What I really like about providing liquidity in the Titanx ecosystem is the impermanent loss is mitigated quite a bit, because like if you're providing liquidity with Titanx and E280, if Titanx goes up in value, so does E280, because it's paired, it's bonded, its LP is bonded on top of it. And so you're not into a position where if Titanx does a 10x, you're not losing out. You know, you're because the element 280 theoretically would 10x with it because it's paired with it.
Yeah.
And so like to me, there's less risk and less management that you have to do. Like you can still have your moon bag in there and rest assured that it's going to do that. And that's with any of these tokens. You know, if you're bullish on DragonX and you're providing LP between DragonX and Titanx, same thing. You know, if Titanx goes up, DragonX will follow it exactly. The only part of liquidity loss would be like if DragonX moons and Titanx doesn't, then
Titanx dumps, right?
Then you're risking that impermanent loss. But the underlying token in this equation, as long as whatever that's doing, your LP is going to follow that in USD value.
Yeah. I think it's interesting when you're playing, when you start really understanding the ratio game, because you stop seeing things in price and you start really paying attention to the ratio. It's interesting when if you're watching a chart, right? And I'll use Volt as an example because I watch that chart a lot. But when you see a buy coming in and it's a certain price, and then you see you don't see any sells, you see another buy come in, and the price is less than the previous buy. You're like, well, how the hell did that happen? And then you go, and I'm like, oh yeah, go over to Titanx. Oh, someone just dumped on Titanx, and you see like, oh man, that just is like the connectedness of it right then and there when you're watching the like buy and sells coming right through and seeing how it affects the price when one or the other pumps or dumps.
That's a very good point. That pretty much nobody, like anybody that looks at a chart, you know, the chart defaults in USD value, and people don't even understand the ratios at all. And so they could be looking at a chart that they think is doing well or doing bad, but in reality, it's the underlying token that's doing well or not, you know? And that's why I pretty much always look at, you know, let me pull it up. Like when you're looking at any chart, let's just look at DragonX, the largest LP here. So it's going to default in USD, and that's what you're looking at on the graph. And you can see it doing, that's a nice little up down. This is a LP provider's dream right here.
Yep.
But there's this button right here to switch from USD to Titanx. And now we can look at the price of DragonX in Titanx terms. Oh, that paints a completely different picture now, doesn't it? It's a completely different chart. And what's the difference? That's the value of Titanx is going up and down, up and down, and up and down. And that's DragonX up and down, up and down. But if you look at the actual ratio of DragonX to Titanx, it's going up. So that's I mean, that's two completely different charts right there, but on the same exact pair.
Yep.
So,
and liquidity providers, you know, once you get into the game, it's actually easier for us to look at this chart as opposed to the USD, because the USD, you're trying to do calculations. You're like having to calculate, okay, how much? No, you can see it right here. So you know, Nathan and I got really, really fast at putting on positions because we had to back when, back in the day when base had its like 2-month run of just up and to the right. You had to be able to put on a position very, very fast or else it wouldn't accept it. So we got really good at it. The only way you can get fast at putting on a position is being able to look at a chart like that. This shows the ratios. Because there's literally, you don't have 5 minutes to put these on. You have about 45 seconds to put your position on, or else you're going to get priced out. And then you have to redo it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something that, you know, it's really hard for people to get, and that was the perfect example that you were saying, Nathan. You see a buy come in, and then a red candle shows up, and you're like, "What the hell?"
Right.
That's the underlying token going down in USD value. You know, if you switch to the ratio, it will show you that green candle because the ratio increased in that pair, but the USD value went down because of the underlying token. And that's again what I'm talking about with impermanent loss. You mitigate that risk when you're providing LPs within the Titan-X ecosystem, because if Titan-X is going up or down, you're catching 100% of that value going up and down. It's just your ratio within the ecosystem that's changing.
Yeah.
So let's get back to Element 280. So if you're providing liquidity with Element 280 and Titan-X, if Titan-X goes up, the Element 280 will go up as well because it's paired with all of the ecosystem tokens. Same as if it goes down, which we can see today is a red day. You look at this and you're like, what's going on? And we're going down. It's a dip, and then it's really the it's Titan-X is dipping today. That's a big portion of it. So
that's your signal that Titan-X is dipping.
Okay, so Element 280, why provide liquidity for Element 280? I feel like Element 280 is a little different than most other tokens because of the LP web. Having this LP web creates discrepancies in the price of Element, because the price of Element is determined by the other half of that pair. And so the price of the element and you see the price here on this list, it's not the same all the way across the board. It's different on each pair. And that's where this becomes attractive to arbitrage bots, is they see, oh, the price here is cheaper on this pair, so I can buy element through this pair. I can take Titan-X, buy element, and then sell that element on this pair at a higher USD value, and in that process make a few bucks. And this is an instant buy and sell. They do it all in a single transaction. Here, I actually have an example here. This is in arbitrage bot, and what they did is they took, where is it, $620 worth of ETH to buy Titan-X. And then with that Titan-X, they bought element. And then with that element, they sold it in the HLX pool. And then with that HLX, they sold it to Titan-X, and then their Titan-X sold it back to ETH. So they started with ETH and ended with ETH. But if you look, they started with $620 and they left with $634. So they made 14 bucks on this single transaction. Now, also note, it cost them $13.94 to pay the gas fee on that. So they actually made like a dollar. But look what they did do. This is the E280 tax right here. they paid 103 million element tokens in tax. What's the current? Let me get the actual price of that. That's $97. So they paid $97 in taxes that go to NFT holders, so that they could make
your service.
So that they could make $1 in profits. And they don't care. They don't care that there's that 16% tax, because and they don't care what any of these tokens are. They don't care what Titan X is, what HLX is, Element. They started the transaction with ETH and ended the transaction with ETH, and all in one transaction. They don't care. They just hopped, and came right back out, and now they made $1 in ETH. And the way they make their money is they do this a few thousand times a day, and they're making tons of money. And if they wanted to say, you know what, I'm going to hold off on this trade, I want to make $2 on it. Well, they're not the only arbitrage bot on Ethereum. And if they don't take that play and make their $1, someone
else is. Yeah.
And that's where the competition gets really tight, because this is DeFi. Anybody can show up. Anybody can scan the blockchain and see these trades available. And if it's up to them to decide what their profit margin is. And if they don't set it tight enough, somebody else that is making thousands of trades, they'll take those pennies. And they don't care that they just gave $100 in rewards to NFT holders, because they made $1. So this is where Element 280, in my opinion, is like it's winning, because you're not relying on individual users to buy or sell this token. There is natural trading going on with the arbitrage bots, because they're constantly equalizing the price across all of these pairs. And as we add more pairs, more arbitrage opportunities are happening. And that's where you get, I don't want to say guaranteed volume, because nothing in life's guaranteed, but with volatility comes arbitrage opportunities. If Flux does a 2x, the price of Element in that LP does a 2x. And arbitrage bots are going to see that, and they're going to be buying up Element on all these other pairs at a cheaper price and selling on the Flux pair to equalize that price back down. And they're making $1 here and $1 there, and in the process paying hundreds of dollars to NFT holders. So to me, like, there's a higher level of volume that runs through these pairs because of the arbitrage opportunities. We're not just waiting on individual users to buy or sell in this. This has added volume because of those arbitrage bots. And so to me, that's an incentive to why you would want to provide LP in these. And then again, if Titan X goes up in value, so does every token in this list. And so if you're providing LP with any of these tokens, it's still following the price of Titan X going up or down. And that's where you get into this. Anything in Titan X is a leverage play on the Titan X. If you're holding HLX, it's like holding Titan X with an extra leverage on it. So,
yep.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything to add on that? Like, did that make sense? I know it makes sense to you guys as LP providers. Do you think that made sense to the community on my explanation there?
Yeah, I mean, it's really that is pretty deep. It's pretty deep that you went into. But if you don't understand, rewind it and listen to what he just said. Mm-hmm. Because what an LP provider wants to hear is volume. Mm-hmm. That's what an LP provider wants, is volume. And it's almost like, well, I guess there's no guarantees in this life except death and taxes, right? But
yeah,
minus that, you're pretty much guaranteed some kind of volume. And we're not even in the full bore balls to the wall bull market yet. So if you're providing LP right now on Element 280, congratulations. Just wait. Just wait, because it's going to get insane. It's going to get pretty intense.
Yeah. I'm thinking of just some of the questions that come up in the Titans of LP chat, and it's really great to see people coming to certain awarenesses, especially within the Titan X ecosystem. But I don't know how, maybe this is related in some way, but for some reason it's making me think about, and you had mentioned impermanent loss before, but when you see your position, right, especially in like a V2, and you watch it balance itself, if your initial investment is going up, but you see the token amount shift between the two to maintain its own balance, that's not impermanent loss. In my opinion, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong or your thoughts on that, dude. But my mind on impermanent loss goes to when my initial liquidity is lower than when I started, because either one or both of the tokens dump below where I started, right? And I have to wait for it to come back in order to get back to my initial, right?
Great point.
But I think it's just, for me, it's interesting to watch. I'm never worried about like, oh, if especially if I'm going into the and hopefully we get to do this example here. If I go into the Hyper and Element 280 pool, and I you know what, you can take us through that a little bit. Like what does the view? Maybe you can pull that up too. Like, what does the view of the pool look like when it's actually? And Dude's going to be like, I haven't started any pools in my own protocol.
Well, I would prefer.
Well, yeah, actually, maybe no, that's okay. But so when you so you add liquidity, but then what you're doing is you're watching the pair below, right? And what will it show there? It'll just show your position, and then you can remove a portion of it whenever you want, or all of it.
So as far as withdrawing, say you add your Hyper. Do we want to get into this? You said you wanted to go ahead and add. We can kind of show.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what we want to do, then we can just see it live, right?
See it live. Let's do it.
Yeah. Let's do it live. But from what you were saying before, the biggest thing I took away from that, you said, with great volatility comes great arbitrage opportunities. I mean, that's like the Marvel movie quote of LPing, right? Of our ecosystem, so. I think it's
everyone remembers Safe Moon and how it failed.
I remember Safe Moon,
and it was like, how could this fail? Like, it's every buy and sell, there's a tax, and we're burning and blah blah all these things. Well, what they failed to realize is that if nobody's buying or selling, there's no taxes being paid, and it really does nothing. And then people say, well, this is doing nothing for me, I'm going to start selling. And then it just starts tanking, and then you get to where you're at, where it's not a thing anymore, I don't believe. Maybe I'm wrong.
It is not. Like 16 zeros and a 1 or something.
Yeah. So the difference between this and Safe Moon is that liquidity web. Now with this, there's no hoping that people are buying and selling this token. Now we have arbitrage bots that don't care what your token is. They don't care what E280 is. They see a price discrepancy, and they equalize that price, and they pay that tax. And that's to me the secret sauce with this is the arbitrage bots. They don't care. Like they are going to be making buys and sells, and like I said, every LP that we add to this is going to add more volatility, which creates more arbitrage. And then the key takeaway that I want to point out with these arbitrage plays is they want to make the largest trade possible so that they can make the most ROI. Why only do it with $50 if I can do it with $500 or $5,000? Well, the restriction there is the liquidity. You have slippage. And so the thicker the liquidity, the bigger the trades they can make, and the more they can make on it, and that creates more tax for NFT holders.
A lot
that's
more.
where exactly. So that's where liquidity is very important with Element 280, because the thicker that liquidity, the more arbitrage bots come in, the more taxes they get paid, the more rewards come to you as an NFT holder. And that's kind of what we're showcasing.
If I'm an NFT holder listening to the last 10 minutes, I'm getting hyped. Because once these liquidity pools start filling up, we saw it with some other coins where these things were taking out flash loans for like $200,000 or $80,000. You know, think about that for a second. Can you imagine if our bot is like, all right, I'm going to $80,000 buy sell real quick to make like $50 or $300 or whatever it was doing. That's a lot in tax, man. You know?
Yep.
So how's this looking? We good?
It's looking good. So you are on the LP manager. You've got some Hyper and some Element tokens in your wallet, and you are ready to add to the LP.
I only think this is appropriate because Johnny and me are building on Hyper, right? So that's another good example here. But yeah, so yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, I was just gonna say, and that's what I wanted to point out here is you can pick whatever token you want, and I say your favorite token, because if you're bullish on Hyper and you're bullish on Element, you're helping yourself by adding to this liquidity pair. You're increasing the volume. You're supporting both projects, and if you think both projects are going to do well, then your risk of impermanent loss is lower.
Subjective.
Yeah, exactly, because you're earning more Hyper and more Element tokens in the process. Not necessarily USD. You're earning more of these tokens that you're already bullish on.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can always withdraw. You can always just do some basic math, and you can always withdraw every week. You can withdraw 5, 6%, 10%, whatever it is, and hold it liquid so that you don't miss the, you don't FOMO out for price appreciation. Because one thing you don't want to do is withdraw liquidity while something's running. Because as soon as you do that and you decide, okay, it's on a dip now, I'm going to get back in. I mean, you're really just recycling your bags, and that's not the way to do it. So the way to kind of get rid of all that stress is have your liquid bag, have your liquidity bag, and that way you have best of both worlds. You have your nice little juicy bank account. You're going to stare at it every day. I will put that out there. Providing liquidity is probably one of the most addicting things in DeFi you could possibly do. I don't know one person that's a liquidity provider that doesn't have like one eye on that screen at all times.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily because you're worried. It's just interesting to watch.
Awesome.
You've basically created your own money printer.
Yeah.
That's what my wife calls it. She's like, did you turn on the money printer?
That's the beauty, is it's always running.
It's always running.
Blockchain.
It doesn't take weekends and federal holidays off. It doesn't have Columbus Day off. It just works 24/7. And then it's really fun when you start calculating how much you make an hour. So you can calculate how much you made a day. Then you can see how much you're making an hour. And you're like, holy crap, I'm making $12 an hour infinitely at this rate, at this volume, at this rate, whatever. Yeah. But it's really cool to think about.
While you're sleeping, while you're eating, you're out having fun. It's making money for you. That's the beauty of DeFi. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. So
I love this, by the way. I love this the weight screen.
Yeah,
it's so nice.
Yeah. That was something that our front end dev found, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's perfect!"
Yeah, my computer seems
it levels it up so much. Just that little guy. Now we just got to wait on Nathan's 25 meg internet connection.
Is he on dial-up?
Someone get off the phone.
What is going on?
This happens to me all the time too.
It's probably because we're on stream.
Yeah, we're streaming. You're sharing your screen. You're doing your video, your audio.
Yeah, your computer's eating up. It's pretty intense.
Yeah. Because my Ravi wallet starts to lag hard when I do stuff like that.
So and can you hear me okay though still?
Yes.
But you're laggy on your screen. Like I can hear you just fine, but you like freeze.
Mm-hmm.
But Dude and I look fine.
And that's a hack that I've learned. Maybe turn your camera off for a minute, and that frees up a ton of bandwidth. And you can still talk. We still got your
also
audio.
VPNs, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like if you try doing this stuff with a VPN, it's not gonna. They don't love that. Only when you're sharing, not in general, guys. Only when you're sharing a screen. I don't want to be like, don't use VPNs. Big fan. My work gets mad at me all the time. They're like, "Are you in Cayman Islands right now?" I was like, "I'm like, no." They're like, "Are you running a VPN?" Yes. Why? We provide one. I'm like, I want more.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with having a second one. Come on.
Right.
We'll give him a second to
right.
let me see. I think I saw a couple of questions that we might be able to get to.
Yeah.
Let's see. What is this? Does it matter which token you enter along with?
Just so everybody knows, I approved it, and now I'm.
Thank you for the update. What was the question, dude?
Did a second transaction come up? Or are you now adding? We have to approve Hyper and Element, so there'll be two approvals.
I approved Hyper. I approved Element. I'm now approving Element.
Oh, because on our screen it just looks like processing still.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And now watch this, Johnny. This is going to be the one where.
Oh, you're getting choppy now.
But here we go. I will tell you that the gas fee is about
future forward. Yes, you absolutely can route through 2 VPNs. There's actually some VPN providers out there that have that as a setting.
Yeah.
Just do like an easy Google search. I don't want to send you in the wrong direction. But Jake talks about it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If you can do a double VPN, you usually have to pay a little bit more for that kind of a service. But just know, if you route through 2 VPNs, your internet quality is going to go down significantly.
Mm-hmm.
But you will be double.
It's the cost of security.
Double the security,
yeah. It's really up to the user to decide at what level they want their speeds and their security, whatnot. Now, this is something that we did your transaction confirm? Because if you're using MEV blocker, which I highly recommend everybody do, the website doesn't see that it gets confirmed because you're not using the regular RPC. We're still looking at a way to update those error messages to be more informative to the user. But
yeah, to me, it looked like it didn't go through. And I wonder if this changed while I was doing that.
The price.
So
yeah. Are you using Rabby or MetaMask?
I'm using MetaMask.
Oh, you dirty, dirty bastard! How
Let's
dare
see what
you?
we can do here. Let's try this.
So both your approvals are still there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. So let's try this.
I don't see a failed transaction.
A little
so
closer. Yeah, I don't. Let's try one more time here.
I think
get ready for me to go choppy.
I will point out that there was no loss of gas fees or anything there. Like the transaction didn't go through at all. It rejected it. It didn't.
Oh man, that was the other thing. That was the other thing back in March. If you were doing something and you're trying to make a swap and it didn't go through, people would get rugged like $15.
Yeah.
And they have to keep trying, and they didn't realize that it was doing it every time you did this. It would like just bam, 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 bam. Ooh. I remember I lost $150 because I was just impatient and I was just clicking like this. I didn't realize every single time I did that, it was like 15, 15, 15, 15, 15. And I was like, I'm dying.
Oh, man.
Federal rate cut decision in 10 minutes. It's all a scam, dude.
I don't. It's just
It's
to
all
manipulate.
That's what's happening.
Bitcoin all-time high. Thanks for showing up to the party, Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That's why my MetaMask is running slow.
Oh, because Bitcoin's going up. I love it. It's like ETH is pumping, and you look at it, it's like it's up $50.
I don't know. Maybe you could stop sharing your screen for a second to see if that unlags you.
Yeah, it probably will. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. So did you approve the transaction? What's happening on your end? Because we don't see MetaMask popping up, so I'm not sure.
It's making me approve. Yeah, no, it's making me approve. Well, if for some reason it made me approve it again, just the element. Maybe that was the issue, that it didn't. But here we go.
Well,
let's see if it goes through this time.
Maybe the amount of element that you're providing.
Set error again.
No doubt. Let me see, man.
I don't. It went higher this time.
Yeah. So maybe try.
Yeah. Hold on. You know what I'll do? Here, I'll stop sharing for now.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I don't think. I mean, there is volatility going on, obviously, with all of the Titan X tokens. I'm looking. I can't see approvals. I guess I would need to see.
Oh, I'm scrolling up. Oh man, I missed a lot of these comments. Mo, what's up, bud? I see you out there.
Okay, yeah. Let's get back to this real quick. In the sense, if you add hyper and element, well, you get paid only for swaps between element and hyper. Exactly correct. Like if you're providing LP, you're providing in V2 specifically, it's full range. You provide both tokens. In our case, it's always element and then your other token of choice. And what we're showcasing here is hyper. Yeah, so you're providing hyper element, and any trades on that pair specifically, you're getting trading fees on.
Mm-hmm. Has to be that pair though.
Mm-hmm.
If it makes sense, because that's the pool that you're submitting your money into. That's you're that bank, right? First bank of life's like that.
And then
when they use your bank, you get that fee.
Yes, that's a great way to look at it. And then you got to look at, like, if the price of element goes up on another pair or down, they may use the hyper pair to equalize that price. And that's where arbitrage bots come in, is they're looking at every pair. And if one gets out of whack, they're going to look at buying or selling through all of the other pairs to equalize that price in USD. All right. Mo, just amazing for Titan X. One of the greatest Titan X influencers out there.
One of the OGs for Titans of LP, by the way.
Oh.
He was one of the first 15 people in our group.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. This was back when it was only Titan X and Dragon X. And you were about to pop off with yours. And I remember him complaining that he was in like 47 telegrams. And he's like, oh, what the hell is one other one? I can't imagine now. He's like, I'm in 47 telegrams.
Yeah. This is something I have not looked into at all. Are you familiar with what V4 is going to bring to the table? I believe there's limits.
Yeah, they're doing limit orders and stuff. But here's the thing, man. There's stuff out there that you can use that have been doing this for a while. I'm a big fan of, with Uniswap, you can do limit orders yourself manually, right? You just place your chunk. If you think that for whatever reason element 280 is going to dip down, okay, then you can place, in this instance, hyper. You can place some hyper. This would be V3. You can place a chunk of hyper below the price. As it dips down, it eats your hyper up, and you now bought at a lower price, right? That's like a poor man's limit order.
But the only thing is you got to pull your LP out before it comes back up.
Right.
Otherwise, you sell all your element back into hyper.
Absolutely.
Now you still earned all the trading fees, and you got, some extra tokens in your pocket. But if you wanted that limit order, you would have to pull it.
Yeah.
I believe
that's going to be on V3 though.
Yeah.
Remember, guys.
True.
That's going to be on V3. So V2. You're not going to be able to do
that the V2 is much simpler on that end.
Yeah.
There's a Medium article. Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of articles out there to explain the difference. I don't know that. Does anyone use V1 anymore? I forget that was even a thing.
No, I got into it. I got into LPing when they went with V2.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
And then they came out with V3, and it like blew my mind. I was like, "What?"
Yeah. They did their airdrop right around V2 launch. Did they, or was V2 already out? Their airdrop was substantial. I remember being super excited when that came out because I got a bunch of uni tokens.
I'm pretty sure, if memory strikes me, I'm pretty sure that was my first airdrop. That may have been my first airdrop ever. And then everyone just starts airdropping you scams, and now it's like ruin that. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, so I would say I don't know a whole lot, but I know that does add the limit orders capabilities.
That's going to be that's going to be one of the big things is your ability to do limit orders.
Yeah.
But you can do limit orders in cow swap.
Exactly.
All right, dude, let's try this now.
What did you do? Would you just like trench a fiber line?
I decided why not just put 50K on E280 right now.
Let's go. Thank you for your tax. Appreciate that.
Okay, so this is what it's supposed to happen. I don't think it was anything with the website. It was a JSON error, so that was just something. I don't know. I've experienced that on my end with other sites where it's just like I have to refresh and
the internet
try it again. But anyway, so I added liquidity, and
there was no loss of funds, right? You didn't have any failed transactions or anything like that.
No, correct? No. So no, and no, it only cost like $18, which isn't. I mean, again, it's during the day, during the week, and gas is high right now.
Oh, you mean to start to get into the pool? You're saying for gas?
Yeah,
it was $18. That's not terrible.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Everything's going to pump eventually here.
We've seen worse.
Yeah. Okay.
So here's, I mean, this is just how it looks right here now, right?
Yeah. So you see your LP tokens.
Watch me withdraw right now. So can I scroll up?
Get away from that withdraw button, dude.
I want to see. I know, right?
So this is so now you need to, if you want to view your position.
There we go. Yeah, I didn't lose anything. It's all there.
Yeah, so I would recommend scrolling up, and there's a Uniswap link. Yeah, in the notice right above your
cursor right here.
There. Yeah.
Oh, this is it. This is what's gonna make everything rug. I'm just joking.
I felt like, why reinvent the wheel? Like, why do we need?
So I need to look at V2 pools, right?
And by the way, you're not sharing that side, so I don't know.
No, it's okay. But I need to import the pool.
Yeah.
Let me do this here. But you can hear me fine and everything now, right? Though.
Oh yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And what Nathan is doing, you don't have to do everybody. He's just showing a little bit of extra sauce.
Well, that's something that a lot of people ask is like, well, how do I view my position? You go to Uniswap, and
oh, you know what? I should have done that. But anyway, so I'm sorry. But when you go ahead, you can describe it if you want to.
When you click the link, it's just taking you to Uniswap's liquidity providing page. And it's likely going to say, import your LP. And so what he did is he went and clicked V2, And then he clicked hyper and element, and then it searched his wallet and found, oh, you do have LP tokens in this wallet, and now it's showing it. And then you can click on manage or something, and it'll show both halves of your tokens. I forget what else it shows.
It shows your pool share. It shows the
nice.
Yeah, it shows your pool. It shows your like a number that's the pool tokens, right? But then it shows how much hyper and how much of element that you have pooled, and then it shows the share of the pool. So, I mean, to me, it looks like for what I just did to have 6% pool share. I shouldn't share that because now everyone's going to hop in. But I'll keep 6%
is nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
And that's another thing to point out with V2. So your position is tracked in these LP tokens, and as you earn trading fees, your LP tokens are not going to increase. So those 564 million LP tokens you have, it's going to stay exactly the same for the life of that position. But as trading fees come through, your hyper and your element tokens, those will increase, but your LP tokens are going to stay the same. So it's definitely harder for the average person to follow along. It's kind of hard to explain that. I don't feel like I'm doing a very good job on it.
No, you explained it really well. Do you remember when PulseX had their farm and you had to like stake you got an incentive, you got a token and you had to stake that token and then you got fees? It was like 5 different things. I mean, this is a lot easier to understand. So if you play around on that and you understand that over there, this is way easier to understand.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm eating Halloween candy. Can't hold myself.
To Paul, we used to show 1%. I don't know, maybe just clear your cache and refresh. We've updated it to show that it is 0.3%. That was a mistake at one point, but we did fix that.
It has to be that way though. You don't, V2 is not 1%.
Right. With V3, you have the option of doing 0.3 and 1%. I think those are your 3 options.
It's like
0.05.
Yeah, and 0.01, right?
0.05 pool. That's like the dark web pool of LP.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
Unless you're confident that that you have enough liquidity that you're putting in to start a 0.05 pool that you're going to pull in,
like 8. It has to be like 8 or 10 times.
Yeah. The volume, and that's a whole other thing. That's a whole other discussion on LPing, because it's like, Jake has his opinion on, and I think he's valid, and especially with like the you have your main Titan X Wrapped ETH pool, right? The 1% pool. We were, this is back from me and Johnny, where we were really degenning out on the base chain, just because anytime you started an LP there, you were paying like 5 cents, sometimes like 2 cents. And we would joke around because it's like there was a day where it'd be like maybe you paid 10 cents. Like, guys, I'm out. I paid 10 cents on my gas fees, but that allowed us to just like play around with anything. So if it's like we saw a V2 launch, we would play around with starting the 1% pool. And then, so if you're initiating a pool, and please come into the LP chat to discuss this if you're ever going to consider doing this, because there's a lot of math that goes into it. You can start a pool that like you have to calculate exactly where you want that pool to start. That is in line. You select the starting price. And if you do that wrong, you're going to watch, not that it won't balance itself, but it just looks really weird when like, and it could have loss of funds, right? If you're like way too high and it's the first thing is like $1,000 sell in your LP to make it go right, to reach parity. But
and I'll point out real quick that that's an arbitrage bot that does that. And that's the
Yeah.
same bots that are
crazy,
buying
right?
and selling element tokens. That's what their whole job is to scan all LPs across the whole blockchain. If there's a price discrepancy, they will find it and they will fix it. And like you're saying, you could lose funds by setting the wrong ratio.
Yeah. But you have to be just really sure, because you have to look at how much liquidity is on the main V2 pool. And then if you're going to put like $1,000 up and start the 1% pool, you have to understand that Uniswap is going to give your pool what it feels is the right amount to maintain price parity between the 1% and the V3 and the V2 pool. And you might only see like, $5 to $10 transactions coming through your pool.
Right.
It could over time, if the token pumps, your LP, your initial liquidity could pump and you'll start seeing it pull in, okay, 50, okay, 100. But, you're getting that 1% of that volume in there. And if other people start adding in, I mean, there were times on base where it's like I started of the 1% pool, and and you run into devs that are like really pissed off if you do that, because you like are taking volume away from their V2 position. But if like you throw in 5K, and start the V3 1% pool on the V2, and then you look back the next day, not that I wasn't checking it like every 5 minutes, but you pull in 250K, you pull in 500K in volume, and it's just like, that is all of mine,
Yeah.
You feel like it's like you feel a little guilty, because it's like, oh man, I just got 1% of all that volume. But then other people start adding in, you get diluted, right? But then it's a party. But there were times when then me and Johnny, we even experimented with like, okay, there was the V2, the V1 started. Now the V3 1% started, and that volume is higher than the original V2. Then we'd start the 0.3 pool, and
do it all over again.
And then it was just that time where we were able to pull in enough volume for that to make sense, right? Because even Jake chimed in sometimes. He's like, well, you need like 3.5x on the volume to liquidity ratio in order to make that make sense, as if it's acting like.
But these coins were all doing like 10 million in volume a day.
It was ridiculous, yeah. But anyway, so it's not advised at this point to get into the 0.3 Titan-X wrapped ETH pool, because you really want to keep everything on the 1%. And you can really learn to play around with how tight you want your range to be to make even a small amount of liquidity make sense with the fees that you're pulling in on the 1%. So I hope that's not, that sounds kind of, I hope that makes sense to everybody. If not, I don't know how else to explain that stuff. It's just it's taken me almost a year to like fully understand it,
Yeah.
And I go, and I often don't follow my own teacher Johnny's ways sometimes, because I'm like the DJing guy. It's like I see something and I go after it, and I got to try it, because if I don't try it, I'm never gonna understand it. And then usually I fail. So I'm like this, like the test guy for these like LP positions, especially on base. But like I wouldn't advise playing around with anything that isn't really makes you feel comfortable and safe within the Titan-X ecosystem. And you're doing that with Element 280. I'm extremely happy to have an LP position there, and I'm excited to watch where that goes. So.
Yeah. One thing I learned with LP providing is if you're throwing $1,000 in there, just throw $100 in at first to create that LP. And if your ratio is off, the R-bot's gonna make a trade and equalize that price. And then you throw the other $900 in after it gets equalized. And that's a good way to test that you're doing it properly. It's an extra transaction, so keep that in mind. But
you could lose out on 40%, but it's all right.
Yeah. You just always do it on the weekend. Wait till Gwei is let's see how the Gwei plays out from now on. We'll see, but maybe there will be no more weekend times when it's like down to 3 again. There was a time there like a couple months ago or maybe even a month ago, where it was like Gwei was like. When I was looking on Dex Tools, they had to measure it in like it was like 0.8, and I'm like, what is going on?
I was shocked to see it in the 1 to 2 range. I thought those days would never come again. I cannot believe that happened.
Yeah, we try to keep our eye, at least in our Titans of LP chat. I have a scanner at the top of my bar, like probably most everyone that provides LP has this little thing that just tracks the price of Gwei at all times.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at it all the time. And if I see that puppy rise to like 45, one of the first things I do is I jump into the chat and I'm like, hey guys, just be careful. Gwei is at 45 right now.
Yeah, it'll eat into your profits real quick.
Oh, so fast. That's the beautiful thing about LPing, especially on something like this, where you're not constantly having to worry about, okay, I need to withdraw because I'm out of range. What's Gwei doing? Gwei's at 60. I don't feel like paying, $45 to withdraw and then another 40 to put it back in. With V2, since you're full range, you don't have to worry about constantly withdrawing, adding, constantly withdrawing, adding. It already does it for you.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing.
Hey, dude. Okay. Let's see. I was going to make a request. That's okay. We can answer. Here's my request. Can you take me through now I'm all interested in Element 280. And I'm sorry I haven't done.
Told you.
And I want to mint freaking NFTs, but and I only have like a day or, a day and like how many hours
that's
left.
Super easy, dude. You just literally follow the directions.
I know, but tell me, sell me.
You want to do this live too?
No, well, I don't. I have to move some things around.
I gotta make some moves.
You watched the Volt chart just.
That's funny. That is funny. All right, let me share my screen again.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. Just be careful with this.
I just want to understand. Tell me a little bit about so if I say I did, if I'm like looking at, would I do multiple commons or if I'm going to do multiple I know. Come on, man.
All right. Yeah, that's a great starting question.
Right.
These have all the exact same cost to reward ratio. Common is 100 million. 10 commons is the exact same as 1 rare. And 10 rares is the exact same as 1 legendary. The whole point of having these different tiers is if you want to be a whale, instead of having to mint 100 commons, you can just mint a single legendary and you're getting that same cost, same reward ratio without having to manage 100 NFTs. And also I want to point out gas prices. When you're claiming rewards, it's going to be more in gas to claim rewards on 100 NFTs as opposed to claiming on a single NFT. There's no way around that. This is blockchain.
Excellent point.
What I would say is, like, if you're going to mint a legendary, but you want flexibility, maybe mint 10 rares. I would not recommend minting 100 commons because that's just... Yeah, right. You're going to get eaten up in gas fees.
Flexibility, though, as in, like, if I had 10 rares instead of 1 legendary, I can pick which one I want to claim fees on? Is that what?
No, I mean...
like if you ever
claiming
want to burn
fees,
them. Oh, right. I see what you're saying from that standpoint.
Yeah.
If I ever want to burn. Okay.
Exactly.
But then in 1 day and 17 hours and 46 minutes, I'm not going to be able to mint anymore, right?
Yeah, this page will disappear. And there's that same with tokens, NFTs, all this will be gone.
No more minting, bud.
Yeah. And let's go to the stats page to kind of show what we're looking at here. So holding an NFT, you're earning, so we've got the buy and sell tax on element tokens. A portion of that tax is going to NFT holders. But also, let me go back. Sorry, I'm getting out of order here. So when you mint your NFT, you mint a rare. It cost you 1 billion Titan-X. It's backed by 1 billion element tokens. So you're getting that 1-for-1 trade. And it's always there. At any point you want to burn this rare, you're going to get those 1 billion element tokens sent to your wallet.
That's amazing.
So this is a big difference with like normal NFTs. You want to sell your NFT, you go to OpenSea, you list it for a price, and then you wait for a buyer. With this, you can circumvent that. You can say, all right, I want to get rid of this rare NFT. Well, instead of listing it on the marketplace and waiting for a buyer, you just burn your NFT, get the underlying tokens, then you can dump those tokens on the market, and you've got your value out of it immediately, not waiting for a counterparty. So that's kind of the selling point.
And now, if you're holding long term, then as people burn their NFTs, you're getting more share, right?
Exactly. Also, there is a burn tax. And so when people are burning their NFTs, they're paying a 3% tax. And that tax is also going to the reward pool. So every time someone burns an NFT, you're getting paid on that tax as well. So it's kind of a last man standing type of situation. As long as you still have yours, other people are burning, they're paying those taxes, that's coming to you. And then, like you mentioned, to me, one of the biggest bullet points on why I'm like very bullish on this protocol is with any other, let's just call it a staking position, like with TitanX, with any staking, you're constantly fighting other users to stay, to keep your percentage of that pool. Say you stake TitanX and you've got 1% of the pool. And then the second someone else comes in and stakes their TitanX, now your percent of the pool is 0.95 or whatever. And so you just got diluted. You're getting less rewards. With this, after 1 day and 17 hours, nobody can mint another NFT. So you will never get diluted on your share of the rewards pool. The only thing that can happen is your share can only increase as other people burn their NFT. Your share of the pool is only going up. And so it'll be exciting to see what is this going to look like in the next 4-year cycle. How many people burn their NFT to get these element tokens and exit the system? How many people are left to see what this is going to do in the next bull run?
Yeah.
How many NFTs have been created so far?
Oh, let's see. This is if you want to look at like percent share, I would say kind of go off the multipliers, because so like right now there's 8,000 in existence, but
Wow.
roughly 60% of that is in commons.
Look how many people have chosen to do the amped, and they've chosen to burn a portion of their entry, right? That's awesome.
I did amped. I only did amped.
And I saw people in the chat go, oh, I didn't realize what the amped option was. And they ended up burning their regular NFT and then minting an amped NFT with that. And I'll go over what that is real quick. With amped, you're paying an additional 10% in cost. So for this 100 million, you're paying an additional 10 million.
Mm-hmm.
Your backing does not increase. So you're just paying an extra 10% for no additional backing. But what you do get is a 20% bonus in your reward multiplier. So your NFT is now getting a 20% bonus in share of the rewards pool. So if you're in this short term and you think, I'm going to mint this NFT, but I'm probably going to burn it a month later after I get some rewards and then sell and go away, this option is probably not for you. But if you're one of those people that's like, yeah, I'm going to be around for the next 4-year cycle, the question becomes, does this 10% increase in cost, does the 20% bonus and rewards outweigh your cost? And over a long enough time period, I would say yes. But it's up to the user to decide what is that turning point to where you're getting that extra bonus. So to me, when I look at the stats and I see a huge amount of amped NFTs over regular, these are people that are long-term minded, is the way I see it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would imagine majority of these NFTs that are going to get burned in the immediate future, I would imagine that coming out of these regular NFTs where they didn't pay that extra cost. And they're not,
because you pay the extra cost. The whole purpose is so that you get more fees, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's the whole thing.
These are some great stats, man. Congratulations. This is awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
I love the X posts too, because just like we're doing our we're doing our part, and then like right below that they're like, we're doing our part on your thing too. Hey, we're doing our part on yours. We're doing our part on yours. I'm like, damn, dude is burning the shit out of everyone.
Yeah. No, like it's still, I like to point out on a stream I was talking to Eric and he was looking at it and he was like, wait, you how much Dragon X did you burn? I'm like, yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah, you had no idea.
A little bit.
Just a few billion.
It's a couple bucks.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that Titan
X. Yeah,
And I'd like to go over, this is a good point on like, why did we do this? How does this help Element 280? Again, this is the bonded liquidity play. Element 280 is paired with every single one of these tokens. And by buying and burning Dragon X, we're helping push the price up of Dragon X. We're reducing the supply. And we have an LP with Dragon X. So by supporting Dragon X, we are supporting ourselves because we are built on Dragon X. We're built on every one of these tokens. So this was a perfect way for us to support all of the individual projects. And by doing so helps the participation of them, like with Flux. By buying and burning Flux, we're increasing the ROI in their daily auctions. So now they are able to perform better in their own ecosystem. And by them performing better means that we perform better because we have an LP on top of them. So that was really the whole reason. We're here to support the entire ecosystem because we are built on the entire ecosystem. And it's the price of these underlying tokens that's going to be ultimately what the price of Element 280 is in the future. If all of these tokens do a 2x, a 10x, Element is going to follow that price action just because of the bonded liquidity play. So,
did you ever see Eric get bullish on stream? It looks like this. He goes, okay, that's great. I'm joking. I sent a GIF the other day to Johnny of Abraham Lincoln flossing.
That's awesome.
I'm flossing right now, if you guys can't tell. No, so that's how I think.
I'm looking at my wallet right now. I wanted to see something because you made a comment. You're like, if you go with the amped in time, the cost, the extra cost should outweigh.
Mm-hmm.
I'm well over that, by the way, for the record. So for one of my rares, amped, it cost 100 million. It was 100 million, right?
One
amped rare.
1 billion.
No. I meant the extra.
Oh,
the
yes.
Extra
Sorry, yes.
Is 100 million. 100 million is $98 right now. Yesterday, I had over $190 in rewards. So I just want to put that out there into the universe. I've already made up the extra cost.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily have to wait, 5 years for you to get your money back.
Right. So here's the reward distribution. This is currently, we've got 616 billion Element tokens that will be paid out this week.
Wow.
So if you mint an NFT, you will get included in this. It's not until distribution hits that the calculations are done. So basically anybody that mints an NFT in the next day and a half until it closes, you will immediately be available the next day to get a portion of these rewards, which we're at, over 500,000 in weekly rewards.
Love it.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Hey, I'm gonna have to get driving with a school pickup for my son.
All right.
So I hope it's okay. I can hop on, Johnny, if you want to stay on. I don't know if you
wait a second.
Keep on going.
Did you say we had 500,000
in rewards? Yes.
Yeah. I'm looking at Is that where? Can you show me where that is again? Because I'm on it right now.
In the stats, right?
On the user vault.
Mine says 597,000.
Oh,
Maybe I need to refresh.
Try
no, mine
that.
says
See if it's
540,000.
different.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
man. Because I was like, man, we're almost at
Oh,
600.
did that just
dude.
change? That's ridiculous.
That's to
18,
showcase the Titan X and ecosystem volatility at play right there.
It's 50K.
Oh, because Titan X has recovered really well, actually.
Yeah.
Or
Oh,
is
I haven't looked
recovering.
at charts. I'm not looking at charts today. Everyone's too doom and gloom.
Yeah.
I didn't.
And that's where the success of E280 comes in, is we want to see that volatility. And if you guys understand LPs, volatility is your friend. And every time the price goes up and down on any of these pairs, arbitrage is happening. We're burning tokens. After in one day, 17 hours, this will be a cap supply, forever deflationary. With every buy and sell, tokens are getting burnt. No buy and burn needed. Now, obviously, we have one. We've got a V2 buy and burn launching in the next couple of weeks with the Element 369 launch. There's lots of bullish things to talk about. And as far as E280, there's 3 projects that are launching on top of E280 in the next, we'll say this year, in the next 2 months. And all of that's going to drive value to it. It's going to basically just create more volume in these pairs. And that's what we want to see, is volume. Again, with any liquidity provider, that's what you want to see. Yeah. And we're always, as Warp launches, we will add you guys to the LP manager. We will create
a Warp fun LP. Yeah, it's gonna be a very fun LP.
Yeah, we will add that to the list, and then as you guys have
what a great way to LP, man! What a great way to LP. I just thought of this. Because when these new tokens launch, when any of these new tokens launch, you get like some of them will just go rah, 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 rah. So trying to start a V3 position, LPing on a V3 position is like you're constantly managing it. It's out of control. You got to do some ridiculous like 50-50 range. But if you have an easy button V2, you're like, hey, I want to provide LP on Warp and Element. You just press a button and you're now providing liquidity. You don't have to sit there and care how volatile it is, because once something comes out, it's like and then take advantage of that.
Yeah.
I like it. I like that a lot. Ooh, I'll be digging into that.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much, dude. And Johnny, always a pleasure. But
Nathan, enjoy your drive.
Yeah, thank you. But I'm glad to finally connect with you, dude. It's been well overdue. And you've been a pillar in the community for a lot longer than people probably realize. Because you were second. I mean, it was Titan X, Dragon X, then Helios, right?
Yep.
And that was back in March?
Well, no, Titan Legends launched the same day as Dragon X.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah.
They kind of got eclipsed by the Dragon X launch, and so but they were there. So we're actually
Legends
number 3.
and that whole thing though, Legends and JakeX, it's going really well. It's going really well. So anyway, all right, guys, I'll see you later.
All right, have a good one.
Dom Hex, I tried joining the chat, but StreamYard hates me. It's like, connect your YouTube. I did, and it just reverts back to join the chat button. So I tried joining the chat like 50 times. But just to answer your question, Dom Hex, if you're still in here, does anyone use Revert Finance or Aperture Finance? I can tell you right now, whales do. I use Revert Finance. I've been on stream with Steve DeFi talking about it, walking through it. Get lost in that website. It is fantastic. I don't connect my wallet to it. It will ask you if you want to connect your wallet to it. You don't have to do that. I don't. And then Aperture Finance, that's on another level as well. you're going to want to really do some research on that, because that's almost like Chat GPT meets Uniswap. You know, you could literally tell it, hey, when I get to, if I'm on Element 280 and Hydra, and I get a little bit too much Element 280, I want you to reposition or whatever. I mean, you tell it what you want it to do, and it does it, and you don't have to be sitting around waiting to do the fees. Like your MetaMask pops down, it does it automatically for you. It takes it out of your money. I mean, it's really intense. It's very intense. But yeah, whales use Aperture Finance. Shrey actually put me on the Aperture like about 5 months ago. He's like, you need to take a look at this. And I did. And I was like, oh boy, this is intense. It is very intense. But Revert Finance is great for if you are curious where people have put their liquidity. Obviously you wouldn't need it for V2. It would just be useful for V3. But you can see, okay, let me see where this whale is positioned, and then you can piggyback off his position if you want. You can see exactly where he puts his minimum and maximum range. It'll tell you how long he's been in the pool. It'll tell you how much fees he's made. I like to use it not because I don't necessarily care too much about where whales place their LP. The majority of them are good actors and they place it full range anyway. What I use it for is, in my head, if I have, let's say, $5,000 that I want to LP with, and I'm curious because I'm looking at metrics, I'm looking at the calculator. The calculator's telling me one thing that I'll make. Well, you can go into Revert Finance and you can find somebody that has around roughly the same amount of money that you have. So find someone that's LPing with $5,000. You will, and you can see, okay, how much is that guy making per day on the? Now it's going to be very specific to his range, but just know you'll make more than that guy if you go tighter. You'll make less than that guy if you go wider. But if you use his exact range, you can see. And if he's been in range for like a week, it'll tell you he made this much money and his position has been open for 7.2 days or whatever. So that's what I use Revert Finance for mostly, is to say, okay, 5, 10, 15, $2,000, whatever it is, how much really would I make? Because that tells you exactly what they're making.
Yeah, and just a quick disclaimer: past performance does not indicate future performance.
Correct. It is based on the volume of that day and the day before, and the days previous, not the days ahead. For sure. Yeah. Excellent.
But still, they're all tools, and you just have to realize that none of this is guaranteed. You know, we can't predict the future, but these are all tools, and the more information you can bring into yourself to make your decision on how you're doing your LPs, the better I think you'll do. Yeah. What is the risk of providing liquidity via the E280 website? I want to point out that we are utilizing the Uniswap smart contracts, and the E280 smart contract is not holding any funds. So when you create an LP through our website, it's just routing through our smart contract to get to Uniswap. That's how we can do it tax-free, because we've whitelisted our LP manager. So when you use it, it's taking your tokens, depositing them into Uniswap, creating the LP, and then it gets those LP tokens from Uniswap and then sends those straight back to you, all in one transaction. So it's not holding any of your funds, and you can take those LP tokens and go wherever you want with them. And that's why you can view your LP position on Uniswap, because you are the holder of those tokens. So as far as risk goes, we made it as minimal risk as possible. There's no holding of funds. And to me, that's very important, to be self-sovereign.
Excellent point.
And what else did we see? I'm way far behind. No, I guess I'm not too far behind on chat. User Vault, we've fixed a lot of these issues. I know there were some recent issues with the And to be clear, these are front end issues. The smart contracts are all working exactly as intended. We pushed a couple updates to the website in the last day or two, so make sure you clear your cache, refresh. Everything should be working fine. If not, feel free to DM me your error message, and I can look into if you're still having any problems.
Oh, that's Maj has a good question. At 2:27 p.m. Yeah, that's a great question.
I have NFT and has a global share percentage, say 0.01. If someone claim or burn their NFT, will that change my share rate? Absolutely. Now, right now, we're not seeing that because people can mint NFTs. And I'd say majority of the people that have burned their NFT are doing it to sell their tokens at profit. And then they take that profit and remint their NFT again. We've seen that happening quite a bit. And we, by design, allowed that because they are paying a tax on burning their NFT. They're paying a tax on selling their tokens, and that's paying the other NFT holders. So in that scenario, everybody's winning. After mint phase is over in 1 day, 17 hours, that will no longer be the case. Now your share rate can only go up as every NFT gets burned. Your percentage is going up permanently, can never go down. So that's a huge point that I think people are underestimating.
Yes. That's why I was looking through it. I was like, ooh, this is a good one.
Yeah.
Great question.
Yeah. And let's see, anything else? Scroll through. Yeah, not seeing anything else there. Get rid of that. Yeah. So I feel like we covered. Is there anything you feel like we missed or didn't discuss? Or
no, man, that was great. Watching Nathan get rugged trying to do his was great. But now, I'm on team NFT.
Yeah.
Just full transparency. I'm on team NFT. Nathan is on team liquidity providing. It'll be kind of cool to see. It'll be like a friendly little competition. That could be like, these are my rewards. What'd you get? These are my rewards. What'd you get?
Yeah.
And make them FOMO.
Right. I think it's very interesting to see, like, coming out of the gate during mint phase, it's only 5% liquid. Like, what other token have you seen that's been at that type of ratio through the mint phase? Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. As a matter of fact, there's equal amount in the NFT rewards than there are liquid. Like, NFT holders are getting a huge slice of rewards compared to what's liquid out there. And as far as like the NFT backing goes, it's the double-edged sword. These tokens that are in the NFT backing, the only way to get those is to burn your NFT. And
which
so
there's a tax, right?
Yes, exactly.
Was it 4%?
3%.
3. That's right. Okay.
So the only way these tokens are coming on the market are by, one, they burn their NFT. So all the other NFT holders are now getting a piece of that burn tax. And now their share of the reward pool has permanently gone up.
Mm-hmm.
And in exchange, they make a few more tokens liquid that they likely sell on the market, whatever they want to do. Maybe they want to use them to participate in Volt Gold, which is coming out probably. I don't want to speculate what Steve DeFi is doing, but I know it's coming soon.
Right.
And that'll be interesting to see. How is the token going to react to Volt Gold launching? How many people are going to want to participate in that pillar of Volt? It'll be really interesting to see what happens there.
That could be a very interesting LP as well.
Mm-hmm.
Any of these LPs that are like Volt, Volt, Warp, for instance, that's going to have just a ton of just craziness going on. You might want to think about jumping into an LP for sure.
Yeah,
take advantage of that, especially if you're already holding Element, and you don't plan on cheating it, and then here comes Steve DeFi with something that he hasn't made anything that sucks, to put it bluntly, you're going to probably want to hold that. I don't know. If you plan on holding both of them, you might as well hold them in an LP and make fees.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, it's hard for me to like have this conversation with people sometimes because, they see it as not getting the price appreciation that you would get from just holding one or the other liquid. But it's like, you guys, you have to understand how liquidity bonding works, because unless one just shoots up like a 25x and the other one goes down at the same time, which haven't seen that yet. No. It's gonna go like, it might go like this, but they're still gonna be going up. And you're making fees the whole way up, the whole way down. What I like to tell a lot of people, especially with V2, one of my secret sauce trading strategies is I like to put on a couple indicators like Bollinger Bands and RSI, easy ones, right? Just the basic ones. When I see something really high and I'm holding it and it's really high on the top of the Bollinger Band, that's when I like to chuck it into an LP, because I'm taking advantage, especially a V2. This is a V2 strategy, guys. And if it's at the top of the Bollinger Band, you're like, okay, it's probably going to come back and retrace. Chuck it into an LP, chuck it into one of these LPs, and it's going to, you're just going to keep getting fees. So it's going to go all the way down. Instead of poo-pooing, like, oh man, my coin is down 60%, poo-poo. You could have been making fees all the way down. And then as it comes all the way back up, and then if you want, when it gets back up to your original price, you can either nuke your LP, do whatever you want, or just keep it in there. But that's one of my things that I do is I wait till something's high. That's when I get into the V2 LP, let it drop, come back up, and then reestablish. I might nuke it, wait for it to do its thing again. Once it gets high, boom, I'm in the LP, take advantage of the down, take advantage of the up. That's one thing you can do to assuage your concern of impermanent loss. So if you're worried about having it in an LP and just missing out on this, one thing you can do is wait for it to get high. When you think it's going to come down, jump into the LP, ride it down, ride it back up, take it out. Wait for it to do its thing, stabilize, jump in, let it go down, let it come back up. That's just one thing I would say to someone that is like just adamant about, I don't do LPs because of impermanent loss. There's ways around that.
Or like you're just saying, I mean, to say it short, like in that scenario, you were better off holding the LP tokens than you were holding the actual token.
Right.
So it's not, oh, I don't do LPs because impermanent loss. Well, holding tokens can be impermanent loss as well, because if you're
now you're not getting the fees.
Well,
right.
I mean,
you missed out on fees too.
If it's worth $1 and then it goes down to 50 cents, you took a loss, and then it comes back up to $1. Well, then if you didn't sell on it going from $1 to 50 and back up to $1, that's impermanent loss. Like you didn't actually lose because you're still holding that token. But in your scenario, you're earning fees all the way down and back up.
Yes.
So you would have been better holding in the LP tokens as opposed to just being afraid of it and being like, no, I'm just going to hold liquid. So the same things that you could say bad about LP, you could say on the other side are bad about holding liquid tokens.
100%. But now, thankfully, our group is at, man, we got like for a non like founder coin Telegram group, we have 675 people in there, right? Yeah. And we have a lot of really, really, really smart people. So back in the day when there was only 30 or 40 of us, me and Nathan and myself, we would literally answer every single question. But now we have tens of guys that will just jump in, bam, answer the question. I mean, these guys are pros too. And I'm very thankful that they made it into our chat. But yeah, I definitely recommend anyone that has any kind of questions about anything that we talked about, jump in there. And don't be afraid to ask us. Oh, thanks, man.
in the YouTube, if you're on the Helios YouTube, you can find the link to their Telegram in the description.
Yeah, it also helps out so people don't have to like bombard, the founders with questions about LPing and get those kind of chats mingled. Just come into ours.
Yeah.
We're open. You're allowed to talk about any coin you want. We don't care. In the Titanx ecosystem, you can talk about anything, especially LP wise, and you will have your question answered very quickly, for sure.
Nice. That's awesome. Another question that I kind of missed earlier. They're asking about an element ETH pair. Like, we have zero plans of adding that. And the reason being is the entire Titanx ethos is built on Titanx. If you bond your liquidity with Titanx or Titanx ecosystem projects, then you're riding that price movement up and down with Titanx. That's really the whole, I don't want to say selling point. That's what we're all doing here, is we're building on Titanx. If we add this ETH pair, that's going to depeg us from that bonded liquidity of Titanx. And if Titanx does a 10x, we're not going to fill that full 10x because this ETH pair is going to drag us down through arbitrage.
Because ETH went up 4%. Yeah.
So we're happy to add, and there was another question down here, adding the vault pillars. Yeah, if your token is in the Titanx ecosystem and you're following those ideals that we were looking for, if you're bonded with Titanx or Titanx ecosystem token, which all of the vault pillars are, then if Titanx goes up, so does Vault and all the vault pillars. And that's what we want as a requirement for E280 is we want everybody riding the USD value of Titanx up and down. The volatility that we're looking for is within the ecosystem, but we don't want to introduce outside volatility from outside of Titanx. So, yeah,
we got plenty here. We got plenty here.
Yeah, especially with the vault pillars. I mean, that'll be another 8 tokens that we add, right? So, yeah, so you'll see the element gold pair. Like I'll be excited to add that one for sure.
Yeah, that one's gonna be awesome.
But yeah, my thing is if you're in the ecosystem and you're supporting it, like in some form or fashion, you're burning Titanx, you're locking it up, you're decreasing the supply, and that's what's supporting the price of Titanx. If you're doing that, then absolutely Element 280 is interested in being a part of that. And that's really what it comes down to. So,
man, that's going to be you're going to be scrolling. Yeah. Oh, it's funny. One of our guys, so Mello, he's on our team, right? Everyone knows Mello. Shout out if you're watching. I remember I did a voice chat voice chat on Telegram with him. We voice chat all the time at night because our families are all asleep and we get bored. So we'll just jump on a voice chat. Yeah. And I hear him clicking. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, oh, dude, I'm on the Element 280 website just working the buy and burns. I was like, really? He goes, yeah, man. I'm making like $14 a time. And I was like, and then all of a sudden he hears me and he's like, no, I didn't say nothing. Get away. But he was just, I mean, there's times, especially when Kuei is low. I mean, you can really just be like, pow, 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 pow. And he was making like $14 a click. And I was like, good for you, man. Yeah. Working the buy and burns. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah. I'm excited to get V2 buy and burn going with Element 369. We're just a couple of weeks away on that. And that's going to be a slower drip, but it's going to be a longer runway. I think
let it get let the baby grow, right?
Yeah. So I'm excited about that. Also, I want to touch on this as well while we're talking about it. Giannis over on Pulse Chain. I know a lot of you people are not big Pulse Chain fans, and I've seen it's a touchy subject, but hopefully with Pulsar,
I came from Pulse. It's not. Okay. It's not. You're not touched. Yeah. That's where I came from.
Awesome. Well, if you're not familiar, Giannis has $593,000 in Giannis that are able to be earned through our LP promo. And the way this is designed is you don't need both halves of the LP. You come over here and bring your token. And if you don't see your token on the list, let me know. If it's something I'm interested in, we'll easily add it to the list. Like we just added Pulsar recently. You bring your token. So we'll just say Pulsar. You provide 100 Pulsar. We will match that with the current value. So right now the ratio is 3-to-1 basically. We'll match it with the Giannis from our smart contract, and you create that LP. And then as you're earning fees, so when that LP is created, it's owned jointly. 50% is yours, 50% is owned by the smart contract. And that's the exact same. You're only providing one half of the LP. The smart contract's providing the other half.
Wow.
So
okay, I see what you're doing here.
And
that
then
is interesting.
Yeah, and then as trading fees are accumulating, you're earning on trading fees just like you normally would with an LP. The difference here is that every month that goes by, you earn an additional 1% of the total. So it starts out 50-50, but after a month, it's 51-49.
Incentivizes you to sit in there.
Yeah. And then the longer you hold, up to 3 years, it would be like, I think it was 86%, 14%. So after that, you would own, at any point, there's a 1-day lockup. That's all there is requirement. Anything after a day, you're free to go. But yeah, as the longer you let it sit there. And you do
this directly from the DApp. You don't have to go to PulseX and do anything there?
Nothing.
This is all done here natively.
Yes. You don't have to know anything about LPs. You just bring your token. You got some Pulse, throw some Pulse in here.
As long as your wallet is connected, the correct wallet is connected and everything.
Yeah, obviously, yes. Yeah.
Right. Man. How did I miss this? Why did I not know about this, dude?
Giannis did not get the attention it deserves.
This is a thing. This needs to be yelled.
Yeah. This banner at the top was recently added. I'm like, why do people not see it? And I'm like, what do I need to do to show this? And that's when I was like, oh my God, like I'm seeing 600K in rewards available. Nobody else is seeing that. And I'm like, so that's a recent addition. We're like, hey, like right here, big at the top, like this is only here. This can only be earned by people utilizing our LP promo. So
wow.
I think it's huge, but it's been hard in my experience getting the attention from Pulse Chain fans. I ran a poll in our Telegram group on HLX, and very, very, very few people are in Pulse Chain. So
interesting.
Yeah. But maybe that changes soon. I think we're trying to bridge that gap between Titanx and Pulse in general.
Yeah.
I think we're getting there, and so maybe we'll get more into this. The Verse was interested in this. He was pretty big on Giannis. Giannis is another liquidity web, but we went outside of the Titanx ecosystem. So Giannis has like around 35 LPs or something like that. So you're getting that same arbitrage going on, buying and selling, but it's not bonded solely with Titanx. So if Titanx goes up, that doesn't necessarily mean Giannis is going to go up directly with it, because it's paired with, like I said, Pulse, SolidX, ETH, Bitcoin, DAI, PDAI, 9inch.
You have PDAI in there?
Yeah.
Oh, very interesting. Because that's the little faction that I came from.
Okay.
That was my faction, was the PDAI Atropa. That's why I love, like, when you came out with Element 280 and you started talking about, this was back a while ago when you first started talking and going on streams and talking about the liquidity web. In my head, I was like, well, I've already seen how this plays out once, and it plays out beautifully. It's a beautiful thing when you have something that's built very nicely, very solid, and just the cogs are everything's working together to do this. And then you start introducing ARB bots for good.
Yeah.
Right. The good ARB bots, not the dirty
MEV
web bots.
attackers.
Yeah, not the MEV attackers. But when you have actual ARB bots just controlling price, because that was one of the first things I didn't really even know what ARB bots were until I got into PDI, and I would see someone do like a $5,000 buy, and immediately after it, I would see like 20 like $100 sells, $50 sells, $30 sells, $5 sells, $8 sells, like immediate. It'd be like $5,000 buy, some sells, and it helped. People didn't like it at first because they wanted this, but they didn't realize it also did the same thing. When someone did a $5,000 sell, you'd start seeing $200 buy, $200 buy, $5 buy, $10 buy, $30 buy, like right away.
Yeah.
So as soon as you started talking about that, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you look at the volume that E280 is doing. I don't know if anyone has been paying attention about the volume, but
massive.
You had like 740K of volume yesterday. I was like, well, people definitely aren't sleeping on this one.
Right.
So people are paying attention because yeah. So, like, that's a lot. That's a lot, man. That's a lot of volume. Do you ever just sit there and look at the screen and be like, $740,000 is going into something that I created? That's amazing, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, across all the pairs right now, it's at 1 million volume. Yeah,
that's crazy. $1 million. That's a lot of money
in 24 hours.
You look at someone. You go into another chain and see like what their volume is. And it's like 20K, 5K, whatever. You come over here to Titan X and you see like the kind of numbers that we're doing right now. It's like, what's going to happen in the bull market when everything is like just everyone's euphoric and, dancing on yachts with their shirt off? Like it's going to be very, very interesting. So that's why I'm on Team NFT.
Yeah.
And then once Steve DeFi comes out with his 27 volt pillars, and then we come out with our one warp. Once all those come out, like, it's going to be awesome to be able to LP with those in a set it and forget it environment.
Right.
And just not have to manage. I mean, you're really making my job easy by coming out with all this stuff, because I just point people in the direction.
Mm-hmm.
It was farms when people are like, hey, I've never LP'd before. What should I do? I would just be like, just go into farms. It's very simple. It's full range. You put your money in there, blah, blah. Well, farms is very unique if you are into the very specific, those 9 pairs, but you have something with everyone.
Right.
So there's literally something for everyone on this.
Yeah. And that I mean, I designed this as a solution for the problem that I was having with, like, there's so many projects out there. How do I get a piece of all of it? This is it. Holding the element token, its price is derived from all these pairs.
It's literally the S&P 500 for
Titan X.
For Titan X.
Yeah.
It's absolutely the S&P 500. And then anything that gets built on top of it could be like a derivative of that.
Which is coming very soon. Yeah.
Right. So like in the stocks, I come from the stock world. Before I got into Pulse Chain, I was big time into stocks, options trading, all this kind of stuff. So whenever I look at things like this, that's where my head goes. And I'm like, okay, we have the S&P 500 right now. So if someone builds on top of that, that's like SPY, right? Or that's like this one, or that's like this one. And it's so unique because this is leverage on this.
Yeah.
You get this one, it doesn't cost as much, but when this one goes up, this one goes.
Mm-hmm. And this is something else that I like to point out as well, is like we were seeing these kingdoms forming within Titan X.
Yes.
It's pretty much unavoidable, and at least they're not toxic. You know, like
Right.
no Inferno
100%.
and Dragon X are not like attacking each
Right.
other.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that at least, but we still undoubtedly see that happening. And with Element 280, it's we're bridging that gap of kingdoms. You know, we've got LPs with everything. And so as somebody else that's new and wants to build in the Titan X ecosystem, and they're like, well, which kingdom do I get into?
Sure.
You could just build on Element 280 and know that you're built on top of every token in
all
the
the
ecosystem.
things.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to have a little chat with Nathan after this.
Because
that's a great point. That's a great point. And
Mhm.
I'm an NFT holder. I don't plan on selling my NFTs this market cycle. That's not why I bought them. I'm going to let everyone else do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
I want to know in 8 years what this is going to, I mean, just imagine all this deflation. This is any of the coins, by the way, any of the protocols that are built on Titan X right now. It's like, yeah, obviously you want to make your money for the bull market, but it's like it would behoove you to leave something in there because in 4 years, it might be way more expensive than it is now to participate. Well, I missed ETH. I missed ETH when it was, 80 cents for like 5 minutes. I missed Bitcoin, poo-pooed that. I think I bought Bitcoin at like $250 and I thought I was the smartest man in the room for selling it at 500.
Yeah.
Oops, fumbled that. Awesome. SHIB, same thing. Got into SHIB. I wrote it for like a 3x. Thought I was the smartest guy ever. Because again, I come from the stock world. And if you get a 3x, you're like the man.
Yeah.
So I 3x. I was like, haha, look at me. You guys are idiots. 1,000,000% later.
Yeah. Welcome to crypto.
Right.
If it's not triple digit ROIs, then you're not doing it right.
That's right. That's right. But you got to give it time. You got to give it some, a lot of people, we've been kind of blessed in this ecosystem to where, everyone expects, like there's like expectations now of not necessarily how much money you're going to make, but you now assume, okay, a new coin's coming out. It's going to 5x in 5 days. Like you have to rip that out of your head because you saw a few do that.
Yeah.
If you think long term about what all these buy and burns are doing, and you just take a step back and look, and that's what I have to tell myself to do all the time. Because even myself, I'm like, oh, I got an extra $1,500. What am I aping? Right? You can't really think like that in this ecosystem. This ecosystem educates you to think differently, or at least they try. Everyone tries to make you think differently. Like, hey, man, like, yeah, you can make some really good money here short term, but why don't you take for 5 seconds, take that out of your mind and insert, what does it look 5, 8 years down the road? What does that look like? And that to me is fucking spectacular. And something like this, just being able to like liquidity provide, holding an NFT that is worth a certain amount of Titan X now. Okay, well, at the end of the day, if Titan X is getting super deflationary, Jake's coming out with a couple more things that, he says are just going to absolutely nuke everything. What is all this stuff going to be worth? In 4 years, 5 years, 8 years? Like, I don't know, just something to think about. Not a sermon, just a thought. Like you don't have to sell everything. Make your money for sure. Make yours, absolutely. Right? But Jesus, I mean, if you just nuke everything and then you're going to be crying, don't be me. Don't be me.
Yeah, this is, we are right on the cusp of
I just laugh when I see this stuff. I laugh so hard when I see this because I was like, we made it through all that.
Yeah.
We made it through all that.
Yeah.
Now look what we have. What is that over there? What is that? Week 30. Yeah. What's that little guy? That's a molehill. That's a molehill.
40 billion. Yeah, that's nothing.
40 billion? That's 40 billion?
Yeah. 16 billion, 5 billion. 800
I know
million.
off the top of my head 45 people that could buy that, right? You know what I mean? They could buy that off the market. Not a problem.
Yeah.
This
I
is
mean, these are entire weeks with less than 1 billion coming out. Like
that is just think. You don't have to necessarily nuke everything on your little 2x guys.
Yeah.
Just hold for a second, you know? Just a little bit. See what happens. Look what happened when we did all that. Look at all that came out, and we did great numbers off the very bottom of Titan X, right? Hyper did great. Dragon X, Jesus. You know what I mean? You fumbled that one. Oops. You know, like, and we did all that with all this inflation coming out. And then now everyone's building more.
Yeah.
You got stuff coming out. We have stuff coming out. You know, Hyper's about to have 3 projects on it. You know, poor Hyper. You know what I mean? They're kind of sitting there like, guys, what about us? You know, and then me and Mike announced on the same day, on the exact same day.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, we're coming out building on Hyper. Then here comes big Mike Dean. You want to talk about getting overshadowed? He's like, I'm building on Hyper. And then everyone's like, fuck Warp. Who's that guy?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be awesome, man. It's gonna be very interesting to see how this all plays out.
Well, I'm gonna brag and say we beat both y'all to the punch, and we are already buying and burning Hyper.
No, that's listen. If you're in this for competition, that's the other thing. You said it. The beauty of this ecosystem is I don't want you to fail. I don't want Mike Dean's protocol to fail. Right. I don't want anyone building on Mike Dean's protocol to fail.
Yeah.
It is in my best interest and yours for both of our stuff to do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of this, man. If you're crushing it, like, I mean, at least that's the kind of guy that I am. I'm jumping in all the different telegrams and being like, you guys are murdering it. You know, good job. You know, kick ass. Keep doing your thing, man. Because the more of that we see, it's going to be especially helpful in the times that, you know, in the dips. But we already have that. We already have that structure where that foundation's already built, where it's like, hey, man, you know, we're all one big family, and the overall goal is just to nuke the piss out of everything. Yeah, just everything's just getting absolutely nuked. We're gonna be up to end of December. We're gonna be up to what, 40 protocols? I mean, you saw Mike Dean's list.
Yeah.
There's just more, I feel like, are getting added. More getting added all the time.
Right.
You know, we talked to Steve DeFi. He's like, I don't care. I'll build a pillar on Warp. He's like, why not? I was like, Jesus.
Yeah, X28 is going to be interesting because there's a lot of people that are just like it's hard to convince non-NFT holders to be like, hey, this is different. You know,
sure.
I think there's a lot of people that are like, no thanks on Ethereum. You know, I'm going to stay on Binance Chain or Arbitrum or Base, all these other chains, Solana. Like, having X28 spread out to all those other chains, now they can stay on their preferred chain and utilize X28 just as if they were building on Titan X. And that's going to benefit the entire ecosystem, just all the exact same.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm very excited to see how many builders we can reach out to that have no idea about Titan X because they stay away from ETH. When we come to a chain to them, then maybe they'll wake up and be like, "Oh wow, this is cool. Let me build on it."
I've played on Solana. I played heavily on Base. They care about one thing and one thing only: green candles.
Yeah.
They don't care. I mean, I don't know if you've ever looked into like some of the stuff that's coming out on those chains. I mean, I'm sure ETH has the same thing, but it's like you could literally, I mean, they have websites. You could literally just press a button, add $1,000 liquidity, and boom, you have a contract and it's deployed, right? Mm-hmm. So the stuff that we're bringing is robust, precise. You know, these are not just little contracts that can be written by AI in 4 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
And we're able to bring that over to them. You just get 1 or 2 green candles and everyone's going to be like, what's this over here? I've never heard of this. Let me look in. What the hell's Titan X? Let me type that into Twitter. Now you're green circled in, you know, like imagine someone that tries to type in like, oh, let me go check out Titan X on X, right? And it's just green circles, like, holy shit, there's a community here.
Yeah.
And they are passionate. Let's see what happens when I talk shit at their community. Sami, I don't know if you ever watch, I think I heard you say that you used to watch your friend Sami.
Yeah.
Big fan of him just because he's like, he talks a lot about pulse chain, but he's very neutral and he's got a lot of macro intelligence that I like. Fascinating dude. But he used to say way back in the day, he used to say that he would go and test out a community. So he would go and he would like talk trash to a community to see how bad or how they defended themselves. And he's like, there's some coins out there where you can go to the Litecoin community and talk shit and they're not going to say anything to you. You know, they're like, yeah, we suck, you know. But you know, if you try that on Pulse Chain, you're going to get eviscerated. If you come over here, you're going to get eviscerated because the community is so strong and so passionate. He's like, that's what makes me want to get in, is I want to see the community eviscerate me if I go in and I talk trash. Right. He's like, that's how I know it's a strong community. They're alive. They're active. So we're alive and active right now. And we're still kind of in like bull run purgatory.
Yeah.
We're getting there. We're about to be there, but you know, it's still kind of like, you know, it's like a ship at sea, just kind of doing this. But once we get eyes on us and once people start doing just a little bit of due diligence on who is Titan X, what do they have going on there? We have streams every damn day. We've already done how many 12-hour streams as a community, you know? And we got hats, we got shirts, we got the dude who's providing liquidity with everyone, you know? There's so much here. We have farms, we have this, we have that. Once they start understanding like what the hell's really going on, then they're just going to be like, you know what? Screw this. I've been in Brett for 10 months and it's at the same price it was 10 months ago. It hasn't done anything. Let me go figure out what all these massive utility coins over here are. Oh shit, they have memes too. They have memes.
Even the meme tokens have utility.
So it's almost like I almost hate calling them meme coins.
Yeah.
Because when you hear meme, you just hear shit, doesn't do anything. Like that's what you think. But over here, you can't think like that.
Yeah.
You know, massive Inferno fan, Baby Dragon X, James is my boy. So I mean, these things are all have a purpose, all have a design. And you put that with that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's when I start thinking about all those things, I have to pull myself back and be like, okay, like control it. Like I'm hyping myself up, you know, let me slow down. Like there's just too many things. Like when I get on Titan X Hub Premium, those stats are just too bullish for me. Like I'm like, how? Oh my God. Like these are facts. These are numbers that are going on. It's not speculation. I mean, obviously there's always a little bit of speculation in all of these things, but
it's not he said, she said.
Yeah.
It is. Here's your fact. Here's your numbers. Yeah. You like numbers? Here's your numbers.
Yeah. I dare someone to scroll through that and not get bullish on Titan X ecosystem.
Oh, 100%. And that's the most powerful entrance into the ecosystem now is like, what do I do? What is Titan X? You just send them there and just say, just get lost in Titan X Hub. Just get lost. And once you get into the ecosystem, pony up the 250 and get the premium. Now you're playing with gas. Now you're cooking with gas.
Yeah. Let me run through a couple more questions that popped up. The volume link, all I'm doing is going to Deck Screener and I'm using a watch list, and I just add all the LPs to the watch list, and then it gives you your total volume and transactions on everything. That's how I'm doing that. And then I saw another one. Ooh, that's a good one. If you're providing LP, so the way PTGC is designed, no, you're not going to be earning. As a matter of fact, I'm not that familiar with it. Does that mean the LP is now earning those reflections? I'm not sure. I'm not sure, to be honest. But I did add PTGC just because somebody requested it, you know, and
there's quite a few people in our community that also are into PTGC.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was happy to add them. I have not added UFO. I could probably add that as well. But as far as reflections go, I don't know the exact specifics on how they work. So I would go to their community and say, I mean, it's just like regular LP providing. So they would know that. Do LPs earn reflections or not? Most likely no. I don't know how you would. That would be a complicated procedure to earn LP fees and reflections. So
yeah, especially with like if it's on a V, is it on a V2 or do they using?
Yeah,
they're using V3 or I don't know what they're using. Yeah, it is V2, right?
It's V2. Yeah, any tax tokens got to have to be on V2.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah, I don't know. I that's one coin that I don't know very much about.
Mm-hmm.
Is PTGC. James might know. Scale isn't Scale a reflection token?
It is. It is. But they're all designed slightly different. And so with Scale, I know specifically, no, you're not earning LP fees. I mean, you are earning LP fees. You're not earning reflections.
So I would have to imagine it would be something similar.
The same. Yeah. And that's the same with Wonderland tokens. You're earning LP fees, but you're not earning the reflections. So
yeah, that just makes sense.
Yeah. So that's a give and take. If you're using the LP manager, though, you've got that added bonus of you're earning additional percentage of your. So you start your LP with 50-50, and as you let it sit, you're earning a higher percentage of the ownership of that LP. So I don't know. You would have to just do the math on whether you.
But that could be considered your incentive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
On UFO,
they're saying
LP and Pulse rewards. Oh, okay. I get it. So if you LP with UFO and what is that paired with? You pair that with PTGC, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I believe so. I think this is a build on PTGC product. Yeah. Okay. So they've got the same idea, which I think is amazing. Any tax token should have this included in LP Manager, because if you don't, you're getting taxed in and out of your LP position is just
not fun.
Yeah, it's not. You're eating into your ROI immediately, and that turns off LP providers immediately. So that was a very must-have for when we were designing E280. Is like, we need an LP manager so that we can whitelist that and allow you guys to do what you do, which is great for the ecosystem. So, but yeah, I feel like we could probably start wrapping this up. Wow, we've gone over 2 hours here.
That's easy for me. I'm in sales, so I can talk. I can just keep going. That's how I always am.
Do you want to do a quick plug on Warp real quick before we end our stream?
Yeah, sure. So if none of you guys have heard, myself and Nathan, who was on earlier, we're the founders of a protocol called Warp. It is going to be built on top of Hyper. Just high level overview. It's a perpetual auction, much like Volt. However, we're using the core is 3 input tokens. You'll be able to use ETH, Hyper, Titan X. And then we're introducing a little bit of game theory. The last 2 hours of the auction, a Tink input will pop up, and you're going to be able to degen with Tink for the last 2 hours of the auction. Now, one of the other main differences is if you enter the auction the first 12 hours of the day, you're able to claim the next day the first 12 hours. If you enter the auction the last 12 hours, you have to wait the next day, the last 12 hours to claim, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. And then also a couple other real nifty fun things we're doing is we are some of the ETH that comes in, we're going to be buying 88-day 1000 power hyperminers. And then with the tink that comes in, some of the tink that comes in, we're going to be using that to enter the Tink and Titan X farm. So we're going to be farming on the Tink Titan X farm, and then the fees that we get, we're going to be burning a ton of Tink, and then we're just going to be recompounding back into the farm to grow that and help stabilize the Tink price. So we're going to be, shout out to fans of Tink, shout out to fans of Hyper. And then, of course, shout out to anyone that's a fan of Titan X, because at the end of the day, this is what we're here for. But yeah, that's the core of it. It'll be pretty interesting to see. I think it's going to be interesting because it's going to have different ROIs, right? And on the DApp, you're going to be able to see, okay, which ROI is the biggest right now. ETH is at 10%, Hyper's at 2%, Titan X is at 40%. Oh man, shit, I want to go in the Titan X one. And then out of nowhere, here comes the Tink for 2 hours. You can use Tink as an input. So if you're farming and you don't know what to do with your Tink, you can always just go ahead, always enter the farm that way. Or not farm, I'm sorry, the auction that way.
Is it Tink only, or you're just adding that as an option? So you can still come in with Titan X or Hyper?
Oh, no. So the first three will always be Hyper, ETH, and Titan X. You'll always have those open throughout the length of the auction. And then the last 2 hours of every day, the last 2 hours of the auction, that's when you'll be able to use Tink as well. So you'll still be able to use the other three, and then Tink will pop up as an option, and that could get very interesting. Well, the reason why we wanted to do that is because we understood that we would piss the whales off that want to wait for the last 2 seconds to enter an auction so that they can claim and get their 3%. So we didn't want to piss them off. We didn't want to piss off everyone. You're always going to piss someone off, right? We didn't want to piss them off. So then we're like, okay, well, we'll still allow that by having the Tink pool open. Now, the cool thing about that is that if you do use the Tink as an input, you will be able to claim that immediately when the auction day ends. So if you want to play those whale games, you'll still be able to play those whale games. You're just going to have to play it with Tink.
That's a cool feature.
Well, that's why we're trying to kind of play around with, different ROIs, different claiming periods, kind of keep it moving. And then, over here, we're starting hyper miners. Those obviously are going to feed the Vortex and the stakers. You're welcome. We're feeding you guys, have some food. And then on the other end, we'll be trying to do what we can to help stabilize the Tink price.
Yeah. And again, that's you're supporting Tink, and Tink is supporting the whole ecosystem by adding liquidity, and that's again all
and never pulling it. It's going as soon as that liquidity gets added, that stays there, and it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Hopefully, Use Tink, guys. Use Tink.
Yeah, I love it.
Thanks, man.
Well, cool. I think we can wrap it up from there. Again, if you guys have any questions, Telegram is the best way to reach me. And we've got links in the description, or you can go to our X and find us there. And the best way to reach you guys would be Telegram as well, I assume?
Yes, absolutely. 100% for sure.
Cool.
We're everywhere, guys, in every Telegram. So just at us and we'll figure it out from there.
Yeah, that's a fun game as well to play when you click on somebody and be like, oh, we have 32 chats in common. All right, this guy knows what's up.
Yeah, 100%.
I think James and I think him and I have the most in common out of anybody else I know. It's funny. It's over 30, I'm pretty sure. So but anyways, he's everywhere. Yeah, he's a robot. But all right, thanks guys for coming, and we'll catch you guys next time. and